Hello everyone, welcome to another KVIFF Talks. We are really lucky and very proud to have here Laurent Garnier. Hello.
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 Merci, bonjour.
Ça va. Laurent, I think that the main point here is that you came to promote and to introduce the film Laurent Garnier off the record. But I think the most important thing is to say from the very beginning that it has your name on, and it's very much about you, but it's not only about you. And that's the good thing on the film, isn't it?
Well, when I first approached Gabin about the idea of perhaps doing a documentary, I said to him, if it's to... Basically, I've been approached by a few different directors in France over the years to make a documentary. And all their approach was, we want to make a film about you. And I felt quite uncomfortable about that. I think the interesting angle, okay, we can use me because I've been there. I've seen, you know, the evolution of that music, but without talking about everybody else. You know, I started to produce music a long time ago, but I don't consider myself still as a musician or anything like that. I'm still in the learning process. So without everybody else, I wouldn't be here. So I didn't like the approach of doing just something about me. I didn't like to be the pinpoint of the whole thing. So I approached Gabin and I said, I've been approached to make documentaries. I don't think I'm going to do it with these guys. I like your way of filming music. We'll talk about this later, but I like your way of making whatever you're shooting. I love your images. I love the poetry about your images and everything. Would you like me to tell you a story? Because he's not a techno guy. He knows nothing about techno, but he knew nothing about techno. So would you like me to tell you the story? And we don't make a film about me, myself, and I. We use me as a guide, in a way. And then I'll introduce you to everybody else, because it's a story about a community. It's not about unity. It's not about singulier, you know, be just myself. It's all about the communion. So
it's basically like a history of electronic music from the early 80s.
It's a small part of the history, because there's much more. And unfortunately, we only have an hour and a half. We had to make a series if we wanted to talk about everything, because...
Are you going to make a series?
No. That's done. We've done the documentary. I can do something else now. But we knew we only had an hour and a half. So it's true. We are talking about subjects that are close to, things that we thought was relevant, interesting to tell people. The idea was not to, how can I say this, preach to our own church, meaning we didn't want just to talk about or talk to the techno community. The idea of that film is for perhaps some of the techno guys to watch it and say to their parents or their relative who doesn't know anything about techno, if you want to learn a little bit more about this, the actual story is quite interesting. Watch it. And for us, the biggest feedback is when somebody comes up to you and say, I knew nothing about this music. I had one guy yesterday. I was walking out of the hotel, and this guy stopped me and said, Laurent? And I'm like, yes. And he goes, I just watched your film. Apparently, they screened it yesterday. And the guy said, I know nothing about techno. I like the Doors. I'm like, yeah, me too. I like the Doors. And then he said, I knew nothing about it, but now the first thing I want to do, I want to come to one of your gigs because I'd like to experience this. And I was very touched by that. You know, if we start to tell that story to different people, it's good. It's a good thing. So this is what we wanted to do. We wanted to share it to more people.
And does it work the other way around? Not the techno guys to show it to their parents, but the parents who are part of the scene to show it to the kids. What do they say about
well, put it that way. If somebody who's 18 now comes to a techno gig, his parents have 50% chance to have been in the techno scene, because face it, I'm 55, okay? So I play in front of audience, and 90% of that audience could be my kids. So techno, from the history part of it, belongs to these kids' parents' generation. Like hip-hop, same. You know, it's like 2 or 3 years difference. So yes, of course. I mean, I'm sure their parents could teach much more to their kids about this. Perhaps, yes.
So what did you, when you had the chance to go through the whole story, did you learn something new about the community? Not only about the history, but especially about how the community reacts, evolves till today?
Difficult question.
I know.
First, I approached Gabin and I said to him, once I basically give you the keys, I open my house, I don't want to hide anything from you, but I want to feel comfortable. And after that, I said to him, you're the director. So at the end of the day, Gabin wanted to make a movie. I'm coming back to what I was saying just before, but Gabin wanted to make a movie to explain techno to his grandmother. Okay, that was the first idea. We had this first idea of doing, we'll make a film and we'll talk to the grandparents and we'll explain to you, you know, why these kids really devoted to this music. Anyway, I told Gabin, it's your film, so you need to do a synopsis. You need to come with an idea and understanding each other that we want to talk about the scene, we want to talk a little bit about my career. You know, you need to make the synopsis and do the story yourself. My telephone is vibrating, so sorry, I'm just putting this down.
You're so unexperienced with shooting on the camera, you know, the telephone on, and so...
Sorry.
After all these years.
Can you hear it?
No.
It was just shaking. And so he did his own film. What did I learn from the community? I mean, I've been very involved with my community because we actually financed half of the film with my community because we did a Kickstarter. And the community brought, you know, a lot of money and we...
£150,000, wasn't it?
Was it? C'était ça? 150,000?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is, I think, half of the budget. And I've always been very, very involved with my community. I wonder what have I learned from them with this experience of the film. I don't know. It's very difficult for me to answer that. Very difficult. I mean, the funny thing is, before we did the documentary, I did a book. And to write the book, it took us 3 or 4 years of interviews every week, every Wednesday, actually, for like 3 years. And talking about yourself and trying to search a bit deeper why you did this, why you did that, why did you get involved with this music, why did you get involved with this scene and not that one, was like some kind of a therapy in a way. So I learned a lot when I did the book, and perhaps that helped me to guide a little bit Gabin and try to find subjects that we felt were interesting. I don't know. I really don't know if I learned so much about the community with this work.
The question was meant from the position as you, as a world-famous DJ, but also a producer, but someone who, because this is wonderful what is in the film, that one of the famous DJs says, Laurent Garnier is the DJ of the DJs. The DJs come to learn from Laurent. Okay.
No, but it's said by one of my biggest icon, and I would have never expected him to say something like that. So we actually, with Gabin, when I saw this, I said to him...
You were hesitating?
Yes, very much so.
Come on.
Very much so, yes. Yeah, because, again, it's not a movie about the glory of who I am. I really did not want that. And, I mean, it's wonderful to know that he said that. Especially coming from him, it's like, you know, it's like an arrow to your heart.
And who was it? Just
Jeff Mills.
Somebody
called Jeff Mills. There's a lot of beautiful words that some of the artists said, and I feel very touched if someone like Jeff or all the other guys, whatever they say, is very beautiful. You know, even Black Madonna says, "Is the Pope?" And it's like, oh my God, no, I'm not the Pope of nothing. So you were talking about that community.
I was talking from the position that you know the community for many years, but you know them not only from the perspective of a DJ, but of a producer, of someone who oversees the whole scene, the 3 decades, let's say.
But we're friends. We're very close to each other because we all grew up together. We all wrote the story together, and we were aiming and going in the same direction. So
if you're friends, you can tell to your friend also some unpleasant things. So maybe you saw during the years that the scene went probably sometimes to the wrong direction.
Of course, but I didn't follow that. Yeah, a lot of people went wonky. A lot of producers does it, and still now do it for the wrong reasons. But this is not why I'm there for. Either you spend time fighting, or either you spend time doing things which are positive. And a lot of us believed of the same things, and we just went forward together. It's funny because I never really felt I was working against anybody. You know, in sport they do that. They're very much against each other, and they have to fight each other, and they have to win. We're not like that. I don't feel like that. When I play with someone, I don't play against someone. I play with someone. So I listen to whatever he says, whatever he plays, and then I try to follow him for the story to be coherent, because we're all part of a, you know, the same bill. And all these guys, if we develop this friendship over the years, it's because even we don't play always each other's records, it doesn't matter. We go forward to the same direction. As simple as that.
One of the beautiful things that is in the film is your will to listen to any kind of new music all the time, like constantly.
It's my task. No, but I love it. I mean, I come from before the world of techno music, and when I was a kid, it's funny because when I was, let's say, 13 or 15, I never belonged to a group. In France, it was very divided. Either you were listening to funk or disco, so you were a disco kid, or you were listening to AC/DC, and you were like not metal, but you were like some kind of a rock and roll guy, hard rock guy. Or you were listening to all the stuff, which was the 50s, and you were a rockabilly guy, or you were listening to reggae, or you were a punk or a skinhead or whatever. And they all belong to different types of things. And what really destabilized a lot of my friends is I was listening to all of them. You know, I was happy listening to reggae as much as I was happy to listen to The Cure, as much as I love funk and soul and disco.
With your mirror ball.
My mirror ball at home, of course.
Child room.
Yeah, so what I'm trying to say is, and I say that at the beginning of the documentary, why I jumped into house and techno is strictly because when you take house and techno music, you can feel soul, you can feel jazz, you can feel synthetic rock and roll, you can feel all this music, you know, the urgency, the blackness, everything that kept me, you know, excited about music was there. So yes, my task is to know what's going on. And I was saying to you upstairs, I don't want to become an old dusty jukebox, so I don't want to play old music, you know. My task is to know what's going on now. And if I actually feel very related to the music that's coming out now, I need to be honest with what I do. And when I'm playing is a lot of new stuff, I'm trying to avoid playing old stuff. So I have to listen to what's going on. And I think the day I'm not going to feel in phase with the music that's going on, you know, right now in our period, I might stop.
Will you ever stop?
Yeah, of course I will. Of course I will.
And you will recognize the moment?
I hope so.
Or someone else will have to tell you?
Yes, well, I'm very well. I know exactly what you're talking about. I was telling him upstairs that I'm very well surrounded. I worked with the same people for over 30 years. All my team, which is a very small team. My agent, my right arm, if I can call her like that, and just the little people I work, the little crowd of people I work with, I've always been very open to them and say, the day you feel I'm getting over the mountain and I'm going on the other side, please, you have to tell me, you have to stop, because I think it's very sad sometimes where artists are overdoing it and when it's time to stop. I think being elegant as an artist is to know as well when to stop. But, you know, I have very stable people around me. I've been married to the same person for 30 years. And it's not very many of us in the music scene and in the DJ scene who are still sharing their life with the same person, you know, they met when they were 20. So I have a very strong team, and I think I trust my team to, yes, tell me as much as... But I think I would see it before, but I trust my team. They're very aware of that. This is something I talk to them all the time.
One of the things that you talk about very, let's say, it's a moment when you really think about the moment when you're telling this, is when you speak about the connection with the audience, about the moment when it clicks, and also about the moment when it doesn't click. How do you prepare yourself? Is it getting better through the years? No. You just leave it as it is. You come on the stage and you trust yourself and the audience.
Over the years, I get more scared. It's really weird what I'm going to say, but it's true. I get more scared than what I've ever done before I go to gigs. It's really weird. I mean, I've never come over the stage fright, and it's getting stronger and stronger. Perhaps because I do less gigs, and I really want the crowd to have a special night. And I believe our task as DJs is to try to create a momentum where I can always picture the room as like something flat, and then the thing turns like this. I always see myself as like being in front of a locomotive, of a train. You know, you get a train, you have the locomotive, and then you get the wagons. The wagons are the crowd, and then the locomotive is the guy who puts fuel and then, you know, drives the thing. And the idea is to actually, for me, to drive the train, but put the kind of automatic thing so I can jump in the wagon with the people. So I always see myself as like, you know, playing records, and I pull to bring people with me. And then at one point, the thing clicks, turns around, and then everything becomes very easy, simple, clear. And we go all together on a trip. And we never, you know, sometimes it ends much later. It's a very magical, very, very magical thing when you feel that with one record that you're playing exactly at the right time. When the thing flips and it becomes magic. We all, I guess all of here, we all been to a restaurant or a concert or a party where either you eat a dish that really touches you, either the artist plays a song, and because of the moment and the atmosphere and the time and whatever and the magic, it becomes, you know, something where you've got goose pimples. And it's the same for DJs. There's a few DJs who really gave me that. I mean, I even been to a couple of DJ sets where from what they played, I cried. And that was very strong. And I cried as well with food one day. Now, you know, I'm quite sensitive for things like that, but whatever. But I'm sure we all have a moment or a film or something like that. You go and it's just really touching you deeply. And you know what? You'll remember this for the rest of your life. And my task as a DJ is try to get the moment to play that record. And then they're going to go home and then they're going to talk to their friends and say, did you live that? Was that really happening? It's trying to search for that moment. So yes, the sharing is super important. Very, very important. So you can't prepare. What I was trying to say is you can't prepare that. Because it's all a matter of what's going on. The time, the mood, the place, the sound system, the lights, wherever you are, the country. It can be a political statement by playing a record because you're somewhere and something happened during that day. It can be anything else. So yes, it's being aware of what's going on, and that you can't prepare.
So you must be ready to adapt.
If you can't adapt, it's a
you can't
problem.
be a DJ.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's a different job.
Can you recognize a DJ that comes on the stage, and I know it's a bit complicated, but I'll try to ask. Can you recognize that a DJ has a prepared set? That it's really like from the very beginning to the very end, it's completely... It's easy.
It's very easy. It's very easy.
How do you recognize that?
Because it becomes boring at one point. You can't prepare, unless you want something which is just dynamic, you know, and then you will prepare some kind of set where it goes up in dynamic and then, okay, you know, but these guys can't play more than an hour or an hour and a half. You can't prepare 5 hour, 6 hour sets. And what I've always liked, and why I've always liked playing in clubs more than festivals, is because I have time. Time is a big quality nowadays. You know, it's something quite good when they give you time, and then I have 4 or 5 hours to express myself, to playing other people's music, and to share that with the crowd, and to try to search what will be the record that will get there. You know. And then we go on this trip together, and it's pretty magical. It's lovely, and that somebody who will prepare a set cannot prepare something more than an hour and a half or something like that. And usually it's boring. Usually it's boring. I mean, sometimes we have, I can't call them tricks, but we have. Okay, these two records work greatly together. So you will do that a few times. You know, you go somewhere, you know, these two work really together because. I don't know why, but because it works. And then sometimes I will repeat those two records together. But you can't prepare. I'm sorry, you cannot prepare a set. And you know, usually when I go somewhere, and sometimes I don't know what record, because the first record is always very important. Which is going to be my first record. And so I prepare something. And then sometimes in the afternoon I go, tonight I will start with this. And then you get to the club, you hear the guy playing, and you think, oh, it's really not it's not appropriate, but I still put it on. And then I will put another 2 records, not knowing what the hell. And then usually, even though I said I'm going to do this, I usually press the other one, because it's not appropriate. Because whatever I thought at 4 o'clock in the afternoon does not work at 1 o'clock in the morning when you start.
This comes to the point if the nowadays situation, when you went through vinyls, CDs, to digital formats, if this kind of digital format helps you in this way, or if you really prefer just to go back with the vinyls.
It's very easy. If I would prefer to be with vinyl, I would play vinyl, because now nearly all the releases still comes out on vinyl.
But you can't carry like, you know, 500 records with you.
I was going to get there. I've been carrying like 40 kilos of vinyl over 25 years, and I've really hurt my back from that. And then I've been to festivals where you got half a mile to walk with your record boxes and stuff. And then at one point, somebody invented the new you know, CD players where you could just put a USB stick. Let's just cut this. But I love vinyl, but I prefer playing with USB more than CD, because it suits my way of playing, and that's very personal. Suits my way of playing much better, because I can choose whenever I want. In any records I'm playing, I can choose a moment and go, I want to loop that. Like a hip-hop DJ would just get a break, you know, in a record, and then would repeat it over and over again, because for the guys, you know, to be rapping and stuff. Basically, I replay the records I'm playing, and I have the freedom to make very long mixes, which you can't do with a vinyl, because if a vinyl is 5 minutes, it's 5 minutes. And then if you think the last 20 seconds is really good for mixing, now with the technology, you can just loop it very easily live, and then, you know, you get very smooth. I mean, for my stories, it works better. So for me, it's just a matter of choice of the technology. It's the best thing I've played on that suits my way of mixing, because I like doing long mixes. But I know some people love vinyl, and it's fine. It's easy.
The long mixes, that's a very unique thing. Like, if you imagine we are in a film festival, many of the spectators, they'll look at the film and they say, okay, it would be wonderful if it was like 20 minutes shorter. How is it with you when you know that you will have a gig that is supposed to be 4 to 5, sometimes 6 hours, but do you have the moment when you realize, maybe I should stop today, like it got to a point where it's the best and nothing will...
It's funny, over my career, I think I've asked 150 million times more for the set to be longer than for the set to be short. No, really. I've been fighting a lot with people, security, whatever, police sometimes to say, please give me another hour. You know, this crowd is great. I want to go on a little bit. But yes, of course, there's been times where wrong party, wrong time, couldn't feel the crowd, couldn't get anything out of my records because it happens. And I felt very uncomfortable. And basically what you do is you're going to, oh God, 45 minutes and then 20 minutes. But, you know, we are supposed to do usually 3-hour sets. I go for like 3-hour sets or something like that. And then I go, can I have a little bit more? You know, I always watch the time. So can I have a little bit more? Tell the DJ after if I can do another hour or something like that. It's always difficult to ask someone who's been waiting and you've got to wait another hour. But I've been very
Jeff
lucky.
Mills behind that and
No, I would never do that to Jeff. I would never do that to Jeff. And usually in festivals you don't get longer sets. It's usually in clubs. But no, usually I ask for a bit more. And it's funny because I went to see a film in a cinema 2 days ago in France, and for the first time I watched a movie and I went, oh, I wish that film would be a little bit longer, you know, because the first 10 minutes was so funny. I thought, okay, this is going to be a really, really good French comedy, which is really rare because it was like witty and quite strong, and I thought, I hope this film is going to be long enough for me to enjoy this, and I thought it was a bit too short. I wished it would have been.
What's the name?
It doesn't matter.
Come on.
L'origine du monde.
Okay.
L'origine du monde.
We'll find out.
It's a very funny film. It's very funny. It's from a play. It's from a play.
We are an artistic film festival, but
I know.
But we love comedies. Come on.
Yeah, me too. But that was funny, controversial. Let's say it.
Another part in the film is very interesting. It's about egos. Because there's a lot of ego in any kind of artistic industry or
well,
areas.
In film industry, you must know that.
Okay, we try to avoid that, but
us too.
But it is important to see that. I think it was Rush that was talking about "Feeling Good," the single.
Yeah.
That he said that
Rush is a young English artist.
Yeah, sorry. So he was talking about the single, and he said like that he told you that the mix is not right, and that.
Well, I asked him because I knew the answer.
Oh, so you knew that he will not hesitate. What if he said, "No, Laurent, it's beautiful. Don't do anything to that."
I doubted. So I've always done that during all my career. I mean, I doubt all the time. I doubt on everything, and I think whoever you are, how big you are, unless you're completely close to the rest of the world, it's always nice to have a couple of guides. They can be your best mate that nobody knows. It can be somebody who does the same job as you. And always you go to people you respect very much for this or that. And I discovered Rush a few years ago, and I signed him on my label, but I signed a few tracks, and I thought he was a genius in a way. I thought he was some kind of young British genius, musical genius, and I saw a lot of potential in this guy. And I actually helped him to introduce him to a lot of labels to sign, but some other people didn't see the genius in him. So, you know, not all the labels I introduced him to signed him. Never mind, it doesn't matter. Still, I trust his words, and I like what he does. So I got this mix, and I was not sure of it. So I sent it to him, because if there's one thing where he's even stronger than anything, is a great sound engineer. I call him Master Shifu, because he's got such an ear. I mean, he's unbelievable. So I sent him the track, and I knew the answer. I knew he was going to come back to me and say, it's not quite right. So I said to him, okay, I'll send you the parts. Do something. And so I can show the people, because I did this track. It's a track I did with another artist, and I never worked with him before. So there was a lot of people involved in this loop. So I thought it'd be nice to present something fresh and for them to hear what a different mix could sound like. So anyway, he did this mix, and he sent it to me, and I was like, how the hell do you do this? And you know what?
So
now,
you learn. You still learn.
Oh, man. Okay, put it that way. This week, we've mixed 12 tracks together with Roche, just over internet. I send him the track, he hears it, and he go, the bass, you do this, the kick, you do that, the kick at 60 hertz, you bring it down, that 4 dB, do that. And he said to me, you will do it all yourself, Laurent, because you need to learn. And it's true. No, but it's true. He's right. I need to learn. I'm a really bad sound engineer. It's a different job. I'm a DJ. And I'm not a musician. I make music, but I can't.
But you're
really
a producer also.
Yeah, and I produce as well, but it's a different job. And mixing is another job. And I knew my tracks were wrong somewhere, but I didn't know where and how I could pinpoint it. So I sent him the tracks, and he went, this, that, you do this, you do that, you'll see. And it's true, the tracks went like this. They became, wow, really, different. So I have a few people in my team, like Scanex, who's my sound engineer for years, and he's in the documentary as well. Stefan has been making the sound for my music for a long time, but even though Roche is new, he's from the new generation, so he's learned different tricks, and his tricks plus Stefan's tricks makes you being a better sound engineer.
You talked about a label, F Communications, your label that you...
That was my old label.
The old one, yeah. But how do you see the situation of labels these days?
It's very different. Before, when we had a label, we were signing artists to make long-term projects. So we were signing a 12-inch, then we're signing maybe one track, and then after a 12-inch, and then after that, I did another one, and then after 2 or 3 years, we were getting them ready to do albums. Nowadays, and back then, we were selling records. A bad 12-inch was 5,000 copies. A good one was 15,000 up to 100,000. So now a really good sell would be 300, 400. So yeah, the economy is a bit different. So now you can't keep the artist in your label because they use labels to promote themselves, which is a different way of promoting. So basically now I see labels like hotels, you sleep over one night and then you do a record there and then you go somewhere else. And this is how an artist today will, by signing on the right places, this is where it will be credible, creative, signing on the right place, in the right, on the right way. So I don't see labels today, I see labels like a jump for an artist to get from one step to one step to another step. Before it was more like a long-term process where labels were investing money as well, or investing time. Today it's more like a short period where you sign somebody, he'll come and then he'll go somewhere else. And you can't tie in now an artist to a label. It's very difficult. So it's different. It's all about community. Again.
So not about profitability.
Having a label?
Yes.
To make money?
Yes.
No. Believe me, no. Not for the artist, and especially not for nobody. No. Unless you make a hit, but I mean, we never know. And that doesn't really happen. So, no, it's all about, if you're not really crazy about the music and in love with it, in love with this thing, forget it. Don't do a label. Don't do a label, no. Very difficult.
You mentioned the word hit. That's something that everybody dreams about. Not everybody, but a lot of people dream about.
I don't think everybody dreams about that.
A lot of people do when they enter the industry. They maybe I could have like a hit, and you never had it.
I couldn't give a shit about this.
Really?
Never. Okay, put it that way. When I play records, my task is to play with a crowd who's in front of me and trying to be honest with them and have a relationship with them. Right? We understood that. When I make music, I don't make music for people. I make music for me. Because I believe, if I'm honest, with the music I make, somehow the deeper and the more I'll touch myself, the more I'll be in phase with the music I make. I will touch somebody, and I'd rather touch deeply just 2 persons than having a big hit, because sometimes carrying a big hit could be a bit heavy, because everywhere you go, like I had a couple of tracks which were big, and I can't avoid the fact that now I get a lot of people coming and say, Would you please play Men with a Red Face? Or would you please play Crispy Bacon? Or even on Instagram now, anything I post, I get somebody saying Red Face or Crispy Bacon. I'm like, oh, please. I've heard this a million times. And these records were 20 years ago. I mean, they're cool tracks. I love these tracks, but they're not my favorite tracks for me, that's for sure. And I didn't do them to become huge hits. And okay, I'm very happy that it touched a lot of people and people like those tracks. I think they're cool tracks, but I need to move on. So, no, I really believe when I make music, it's for me. It's a very personal thing. It's the only thing I make which is very personal. I do this, I feel good with this, and then I release it. And if you don't like it, it doesn't matter because it's only at the end of the day, it's only music. Okay, I keep telling my team as well, don't take yourself too seriously. I'm only a DJ. I don't change the face of the earth. I'm not a politician or anything like that. I only play music. So we believe in our art, and it's the same with cinema. You know, this is what I say sometimes when people get a bit too big-headed. We only proposing things, and that's it. We need to stay simple with what we do.
It's an obvious question. How did you manage to go through the COVID break? That
it was long.
Not only that it was long, but also, I don't know if you see it, but a lot of people now try to recoup themselves within the crowd. That you can see that the people are starting slowly socializing and trying to find again their social experience.
Okay. I always said to my agent, I said, things can stop abruptly. And
you said that before?
Yeah, way before. But I never thought about a disease. You know, it was always about, one day the kids will discover a new music or something new is gonna come, and then we're gonna be old, and then that's it. They're gonna switch to something else, which makes sense. What doesn't make sense is we still play the same music 30 years on, and it's still, I mean, the two music which are popular now with the kids is hip hop and techno. Techno was born in 1987 and hip hop in 1982 or at the end of the 70s anyway. It's wrong. There's something weird about this, to play music to 18 years old that could be your kids and the music belongs to their parents. I grew up in a family where the music I was listening, my mother hated it. She was coming in my room saying, what the hell are you listening to? And I liked that. It was good. I was against my parents. And nowadays, I mean, my boy plays house and techno, and I go to his room and I Shazam it. It's really sad. I should be, what the fuck are you listening to? It's disgusting. He listens to great music. I love what he plays. So something is wrong there, right? Anyway, so before I was saying, something can switch and we can lose it very quickly. But I never thought we were going to lose it that fast over a disease. And I went from one gig to home, locked home for 18 months. The really weird thing is the first year, I couldn't listen to techno anymore. Really, I completely rejected it. Because for me, techno was always the music of the future. There's always been a very futuristic side to techno music. And I couldn't feel me in my life. I couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel anymore. Everything was dark because we didn't know where the hell we were going. We were confined at home. And a lot of people were panicking, and we thought, what's going to happen? So techno was not relevant to the period for me. So I went more into old school stuff, French songs, psychedelic music, 70s music, soul, funk. And it took me a long process to come back to listen to more modern type of music. And the funny thing is, for the first 6 months, I was very surprised by the fact that I really liked to be at home and not to have to travel, because before I felt I was bored with the traveling, with the boring part of it, which is the airports, the flights, it usually takes 6 to 7 hours. To wherever you go, it takes 6 or 7 hours. I've calculated that, and it works. And that I was bored with that. I was bored with the hotels and stuff like that. So it was kind of nice to be at home, go to bed at 10 o'clock, wake up early in the morning and enjoy the countryside, because I live in the countryside. So it was nice to enjoy the normal life. That was fun. And spending time with my wife and my son, that was great. But musically talking, I actually worked on a rock album with a French psychedelic band. So that was great because I came back in the studio not having to make techno because I didn't feel like it, but working with a different band, you know, stepping out of my comfort zone and doing something else. Then after that, I kind of came back to more electronica music, but through a film, through a Belgian film, which I did the score. I did a whole score for. So that was really good fun to switch on my normal machines again, and even without making techno music at all for the film, going into a more electronic side of things. That was great, and not having again to make music for people to dance. And then after a good year, I started to feel the frustration of not having this shot of adrenaline which you get when you're DJing. Lenny D talks beautifully about it in a documentary, and he says, if you get to become a great DJ and you play at a great party, and you know the moment when it goes like this, it's the best drug on earth. Really, it's unbelievable to have this feeling of connecting so much with people, and knowing that you're actually sharing a magical moment together. And I started to really miss that. And funnily enough, I started to make music, techno music. I started to make dance floor tracks. And I've done a whole album. I've done 14 tracks already. So I've been producing music. I've been, you know, carry on being in my studio and producing music. But I didn't believe in making DJ sets in my studio, sharing it online, because for me, DJ is about being with a crowd, sharing the moment with people. I couldn't do it in my house. It didn't feel right. So I had to say it with music. And I think the 3 projects I did, which are really different, musically and for, you know, the intention of it, it's good because it's a good process of getting out of the COVID. And then now I've only started DJing a month ago. And I must say, my first gig, I was a bit scared. You know, I got in there was a lot of people. I felt a bit uncomfortable, but when I played the first track and the room went up the roof, I thought, fuck, I've been missing that. And I had tears, really. I was really touched by, you know, this thing. And I understood how much I missed it.
I think for many people it is a great experience to understand how much they missed something that seemed that will never stop.
Well, you know,
the filmmakers here are the same. They are,
of course,
they are in the cinema with people like after.
It's in their DNA. I mean, playing music. It's not DJing. It's more sharing music with other people, playing music to people. That's my DNA. Then DJ is my big part of it. But before that, when I was 14, I got involved with a pirate radio in France.
Teenager.
Yeah. I was sharing my tapes from the age of 12. You know, I was recording.
It was called Teenager, wasn't it?
Radio Teenager. Yeah,
Radio Teenager.
The pirate radio I was doing. Yeah, Radio Teenager. God, that's corny, super corny. When I was 14, and we were just playing funk, soul, and reggae and stuff like that, and because, you know, I was really into music. I was going to record shops and I was bringing records. And then as well, I was waking up at night to record import, because back then we had to buy import records. And they were very hard to find. They were very expensive. And there was a couple of radio shows playing those records. So the radio played a huge role in my life. And this is why I've done, you know, radio. I worked in radio station for years and stuff. They're part of my life for me to discover music. So I was recording stuff and then editing it on tapes and replaying it on Radio Teenager. It's just about sharing. That's it.
We all did the same.
Yeah, of course.
Don't you miss this? Like, how do you see, from your perspective, radio in the near future? Because it seems that, for example, there's a huge number of community radio stations now because they have the ability, the digital formats help them. But still,
I see. I mean, for me, radio. Either you want to play music or you want to talk and be more in the political side of it. So are we talking about the musical radios?
The musical radios.
For me, the musical radios today, the interesting one are all web radios. Because there's no money involved. And when there's no money, there's freedom. And this is when you get to the core of what radio should be about, which is playing music without going into a box where you have to play X amount of, like in France, if you don't play X percentage of French music, you won't get help, and it's very political and it's very complicated. And nowadays, there's very, very, very few, maybe to say none, radio station which I'd like to listen to all day, because I don't discover anything. So I think online radio stations are really interesting for me, and this is actually what I listen to.
So you don't leave Spotify or Deezer to do the playlist for you?
No, because it's an algorithm. An algorithm works to a certain extent, and if you just like, for some reason, one track which is not well tagged, you will get 100 of other tracks which are so I don't really believe in algorithm in music. It's the same for films. You know, look at the Netflix thing. You watch a series for whatever reason, then again after that they will propose tons of stuff in the same subjects, and you go, please, this is not what I'm all about. And no, I mean, I go to Spotify sometimes when I know somebody that I really like. I want to listen to either the whole entire record collection, record discography, and usually I use the artists, same kind of artists,
related artists,
to discover things. And then I go very quickly, and I like to go from one artist to another. And sometimes we do games with my friends where we start with a jazz musician, and I'll say, you'll see, within 10 clicks, we'll be on Jeff Mills. And I love going, saying, like, we start in Nina Simone, and I know the way to get to Jeff Mills from Nina Simone. It's very easy. It's very easy, because when you know how they work, these algorithms is kind of easy. But what I'm saying is, I actually started my own online radio station 25 years ago called PBB, and no, I listen to PBB or online radio stations because I know this is where I get music I like. And I've put so much music on PBB now that I actually Shazam myself, which is really weird. There's too much music in there, so I forget about the tracks I put because I listen to a lot of music every day. So I actually Shazam myself, my own radio station. I got to that point.
When you talk about algorithms, it's one way in the future is the artificial intelligence that started to paint, probably will start to create music also. But based on what you say, you don't believe that a robot or an artificial intelligence will stand on the stage and will DJ?
Could do.
Oh, it could do, but...
It could do. But I'm sorry, understanding, and we're coming back to what we were saying before, understanding the time, the mood, the moment, the sound system, what you can play and can't, because this sound system is too good or not good enough, so these records are going to sound shit and these records are going to sound good.
So too many inputs.
Yes. There is algorithms for us to understand, to be able to try to do something and play the right thing, and understanding where you are. Who are these people and why you do it? I think a machine can do so much, but not everything, I'm afraid, which is good. Of course there will be machines DJing, and there's already machines taking 20 tracks and recreating one new track out of that. But what will they do? They will analyze roughly the time, the sequence, the way it's mixed, the sounds. They will analyze all this. But will it be really emotional? That's different. The emotion is the emotion. That machine is difficult. With a machine, it's difficult.
I know that the scientists will say, we're working on that.
Well, I would answer why, what? Okay, give me one record that really touches you. Deeply. Profoundly.
Radiohead, No Excuses.
Why?
I cry.
All right.
It's the sound, it's the lyrics, it's the melody, of course, but it's the mood.
But perhaps for you it'll be very different. So, you know, it won't work with a machine because it's a very personal thing. The story with it's like a smell. It's like, you know, you hear a record or there's smells, you don't smell them for 20 years and then somebody walk past and you go, oh wow, I remember that person because of that smell. That machine can't do, you know? Same with music. Music is a very, very personal thing. It can find things that could sound like Radiohead, and it would only find things that could sound like Radiohead. So they will analyze his voice, they would analyze the way they're using, you know, electronic instrument within the rock and roll stuff as well. But the emotion, fuck it. They will never be able to analyze it. Never. And why does that record touches you? It's very difficult to explain. Very difficult. A record is, you know, something is, when it touches you, it touches you. Why a film is so emotional to you and not to me, and vice versa. Difficult.
That's promising, Laurent. That's promising. Because
does that give you hope a little bit?
Hopefully. Does anyone have a question? Because I don't want to give it just me the question. So if you have a question, just raise your hand or shout and we'll give you the mic, okay? So if you have something, prepare it and we'll put it on. I think that one of the beautiful things that also was said in the film is that, and you explain it within this interview, that you, and don't blush, okay, you create culture. And that's really cool because it was not the word create music or something, but create culture. So it's much broader than just like techno scene. Do you, and there's also a scene with kids that you're talking to them and you're talking about, if I understood correctly, it's a project about music, or it was about your record label?
Well, no, I actually work in a school next to my house, and then this
regularly.
Yeah, I've done it for like nearly 3 years now, and the art teacher is amazing. He's a really amazing guy, and he approached me and he said, "I don't know what we can do, but I believe we can do something great with these kids." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, let's do it." So I went there, and then he's making them do crazy stuff. And it's all related to music, and it's not just about techno at all. So either we'll work on minimalism, or he's going to play 4 different tracks to them, like a techno track, a rock track, a classical track, a jazz track, and while he plays the music, he goes, "All right, draw whatever you hear." So sometimes they do lines, sometimes they don't like it, so they go like this, and then after that, we'll go and talk to them. Why did you draw this? And what did the music bring to you? Or did you like it, or you didn't? So we did that. We worked on a record collection of their parents. So we said, all right, grab a record from your parents' record collection and do a picture with it. So if it's a face, just put it in front of you. If it's a part of a body, do it, and be creative with this. Then we did plastic art with them, so they build like a crazy electronic machine with cardboard. They worked on some songs to tell the story of the song without even knowing the subject, you know, of why the song was made for. We worked over as well all the graphic design around Ed Banger, which is a French label, very well-known French label. So we work with their graphic design, and then we're trying for them to redesign T-shirts around that. We did projects where they invent a band, so they have to have a story, they have to draw the clothes for the band, the instruments. So we do all sorts of projects with them, and then the finished thing is to make a fake CD with names of fake songs, you know. So the band has to produce a CD, and we talk. Of course, we do a lot of talking with them, and they're really amazing, these kids, because once you know what they listen to, and then they find out you kind of listen to the same music as they do, and we found ways of talking to each other. They're absolutely amazing. But again, I'm coming back to the community, the sense of community. What you're saying is we create culture, is because for us, since day one, it's not about individuality, it's about community. It's all about community.
Could you do a manual on these lessons? Like, it would be very helpful for another bunch of artistic teachers or teachers of art all around the world.
No, we've done a film.
No.
I've done a book, I've done a film, that's fine.
Okay, we have another word for you.
I don't believe there's a manual. I don't believe there's a manual, really. Is there a manual to make a film? I don't think so. To make a film, there's no manual.
But sometimes you need help.
Of course, you always need help.
And this might be a help. Because we have a lot of teachers that would really probably love to do something, but they don't have the initial idea. When it's here...
It's a teamwork. Because the teacher had the idea, he went to see the director of the school, who was, yeah, that'll be nice. And then as soon as I did the first thing there, we had the English teacher, we had the French teacher, and they said to me, oh, you released that book. And I'm like, yeah, we did it in French and English. We'll do lessons on that. And then they started to work as well in French, English. You know, the only teacher who refused to do something with us was the music teacher. It's true. Because she said, music is classical music. Everything else is not music. And I went, what? And she did not want to do anything to do with us. Can you believe what that means to the kids? That was strange. Where all the other teachers were really involved. Even the gymnastic teacher worked with a contemporary ballet from Aix-en-Provence, from a really famous ballet choreographer called Angelin Prège-Locage. And because I worked with him and I made music for one of his shows, we used that music and they did some gymnastic with the kids. The whole school, but again, it's a community. It's not just one. I mean, the idea comes from one person, but everybody else was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's try. Community. We can't, if we individuals, it's very difficult. If you work with a good team and everybody is together for the same reasons, that's when it's becoming good.
Laurent, you said in one interview that it's really difficult to capture, I just now forgot the, vášeň. Passion.
The passion.
Passion. But you did
in
that.
In a film?
No, in everything. In music and everything. But in this words in the film. So thank you very much. And thank you, Gabina Rivoira, the director who is here with us.
Gabin is the guy who caught the passion.
But you had to put it also there.
I think in a movie, especially regarding music, it's very difficult to catch the passion. Very difficult. Without having to go into drugs and, you know, all the way going down and stuff like that. Just the simple fact that somebody is either playing a guitar or singing and you see the guy or the person vibrates with whatever it does. I think it's very difficult to get there. We've all seen a lot of films talking about music where, or not documentaries, films, where you know it's fake. You can see straight away they don't dance to the beat that is played. You can see the guy playing piano and, excuse me, but you never touched a piano in your life, and it's really off-putting. And why I actually approached Gabin is because I loved his way of filming music, and again, you know, I co-organized this pop rock festival, and I love the fact that I was seeing on stage 4 guys like really punk band going crazy, but he chose classical music or he chose old French songs, and it worked so beautifully. So he's the one who actually showed the passion in the film, not me. No, I'm very passionate about what I do, but I wouldn't know how to film it, and I know it's a very hard thing to film in cinema. You know, I've worked on a scenario one day, and everybody was telling me the hardest thing is to show passion without artificial things around. Difficult. So yes, it's difficult to. Passion is a difficult thing.
So Gabin, and you did it. So thank you very much. The film Laurent Garnier of the record will be here on Karlových Varů Film Festival. Hopefully in the distribution all around, so we'll be able to see it outside of Karlových Varů. Thank you very much.
It's my
Good
pleasure.
luck, and hopefully no one from your team or you will say stop.
Well, if they do, it's fine. You know, I had a wonderful time. I had a wonderful ride. So if they say it's because it's time.
No.
I trust them.
Stay with us for a while. Thank you very much. Thanks. Goodbye.
Merci. Did you want a question from somebody? Did you want a question from somebody?
I think that nobody. Yeah. Yeah. So, do we have a question? Because nobody raised their hand. Oh, here is the first question. So just a moment, we'll give you the mic.
I would like to thank you very much for the movie. It was awesome. And my question is, how did you manage to keep your mental health being in this field for over 30 years? Because I have plenty of friends in this field in Czech Republic, and I know that it can be very exhausting and stressful, and sometimes it's quite dangerous.
Of course it's very dangerous.
So how did
Of course it's very dangerous. Fame is dangerous. Being surrounded with every single weekend with people who party can be super dangerous. Because all I could say is, I want this, I want that, and I get it. So you have to be, again, we're coming back to the team. You have to be with the right team for the right purpose, for the right reason. Basically, I don't do drugs, and I never did. I mean, I must have done 6 ecstasy in my life, and that's about it. And the rest I've never done. So I've never been into this scene for that. I can see it sometimes. And sometimes it really bothers me when it's too much. But I consider myself as being quite straight for things like that, and as being in this business for the right reason. I don't live in Berlin, because you can lose yourself easily in cities like that. We all know that. I go to Berlin, I enjoy Berlin, but then I go home straight away. No, but seriously, I've always been very careful with that, and I've seen a lot of close friends losing it totally, because of drugs, because of drinks, because of whatever, partying too much, losing the reality of things. Yeah, you have to be quite strong, but I think it's the same with anybody. I think a young person who becomes a huge actor because of one film, because it's so successful, again, fame can be super dangerous. You know, they have to be surrounded by a strong team. And a strong team needs to really, you need to talk a lot. You need to make sure that everybody understands what you're there for. It's not about the money. It's not about the drugs. It's not about the girls. It's about the music. And we first talk about music. That's what we only talk about, basically. And I think that's what kept me alive. And again, it's the people I share my life with. You know.
Thank you.
I think so.
And I also liked very much in the movie, in the documentary, the thing you said about when you had worked at the French embassy in London, like having those two parts in your life.
Of course. I mean, I must say, I always enjoyed subversive, you know, going to subversive places. I was in London. I was going a lot to the gay scene because they were the craziest back then. I love the fact that I was working in a French embassy, serving the ambassador, having met the French president and like politicians and serving them. But then at night going to punk clubs and listening to, you know, whatever band and seeing people dressed up completely crazy. It was great to be part of the two worlds. It was wonderful. But, you know, I've always had this life, always. And I always enjoyed it because I know where my place is, you know. I kind of know what my place is, and I enjoy this crazy fun as well as, you know, I have a very normal life. I go to the supermarket, I take my son to school, and, you know, I have a normal life.
It's good.
Merci.
Good luck too. Thank you.
Any other question? Yes, yes.
Hello.
Hi.
I wanted to ask what's more in your pipeline, if you can
For me?
show us. Yes, and to which extent is it planned, and to which extent is it open to new projects similar to what you described with the art teacher? You know, people coming up to you and saying, "Hey, maybe we could do something new together."
I'm very open to projects. Very open. I don't get approached that much, but I do, and I always. I mean, basically, when I like to do something, I kind of make sure that people know about it. So at one point I wanted to work with contemporary choreographers I said Angelin Prège-Locage, but I worked as well with another French choreographer, which is called Marie-Claude Pietragala, and she's a very well-known ballet dancer. And I was hoping one day to work with people like that, and then this is when I released an album called The Cloud Making Machine, quite a long time ago. And the album was very different. It was not a techno album, it was very different. And my aim with that album was to touch people like that. And funny enough, the techno kids hated it. I didn't sell any copies of that record, but I got to meet Pietragala and Angelin Prège-Locage because of that record. So usually I try to create things. My next projects are, this psychedelic album coming out soon, this Belgian film, which should come out hopefully at the beginning of next year, but because of COVID, everything is difficult and changed, so we'll see. Then I have a new album ready, which should come out within a period of 1.5 years. It's like a big project I'd like to do, and I'd like to make a lot of tracks for several different formats, so vinyl, perhaps a cassette, perhaps a CD, perhaps whatever. We're trying to find. It's going to be a big project who will perhaps close a chapter. Something it's like something I've done half of it already, and then I need to finish it. But I'm in the process of working on that. Then, before I met Gabin, I was in a process of working on a feature movie, and the actual process of that got me to meet the director of the film I've just done the music for. And we finished writing the scenario. I mean, it's been going on for like 10 years, this project. So it's a very old thing. And I'm supposed to meet a director within the next 2 weeks who might be interested to talk about perhaps doing that film. So I have this, but knowing that cinema is extremely difficult, I'll wait for it to happen if ever it can happen. But I would love to do the film because I think the story is nice. Besides that, I have a little record label where I'm here to release music from other people and try to promote young artists. Then I'm super open to new projects. We'll have to see what comes in. But again, I don't have. There's so many hours in the day. So at the moment, I'm very focused on my new album. But I think the film, if ever it happens, which I hope it will, that will take quite a lot of work because I'd like to be very involved with that because I want to learn. The great thing is to learn things. So I've learned a lot with Gabin, and we really worked very closely together, and it was a great experience, a great ride to do this. And now we have the film. It'll be nice to do a feature film. That'll be very interesting to be able to do one. At least being part of the team from a feature film. Apart from that, I've got another project with these kids next year, so we'll do that again, and we'll see. We'll see what's coming. I'm open. If you guys have projects, I'm open.
We do.
Okay.
So, any other question? If not,
come to the film tonight. It's at 7, right?
Yes, it's at 7.
If you haven't seen it, yeah, it's
and hopefully
Gabin's done a great work. Really,
it's very
congratulations
to Gabina Rivoira, the director. You can't see him on the camera, but we'll show the picture. Okay, Laurent Garnier.
Merci.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.